What is up, hackers? Welcome back to another episode of Hack Crypto, where we hack everything our education. And on this episode, I am celebrating 10 years in the crypto space. That's weird to even say out loud, but I recently did a Twitter thread on 10 tips that I've learned over the past 10 years being in this space. I've seen a lot of different crazy things. I've seen scammers, fraud, all sorts of crazy things over the last decade, and it is just wild. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody that stuck around on the channel. For the newcomers here, welcome. If you are brand new, be sure to be subscribed. It's free. And if you want to learn everything that there is in the crypto space and personal finance space, there's going to be plenty of content over the coming years here. With that said, there is a shorts series going on called Hack Finance. It's about a bunch of cool side hustles, and you should definitely check that out. If you just go to the tab that says shorts on the channel, you'll be able to check that out. Really short video format, about 15 to 20 seconds each, and a lot of great feedback came in around the first side hustle series. Probably wondering, why is the studio thrashed? Well, this is a brand new studio. I'm hyped to be in a new space, and as you can see, I am still getting set up. I got my plant here, got a new metal desk, got some different things to be putting in the background, including my belts from the Metaverse Influencer Awards that I won. And I'm really excited for this video to go over these 10 tips for you guys, because this is something that I've really been excited to make for a long time. And being in the new studio is just a really perfect time for me to make this video, to share with you guys some knowledge that I've learned and just some scars that I have over the last 10 years that will help you skip some of these big mistakes. So first of all, I bought my first Bitcoin 10 years ago in February of 2013 on the DMs in Bitcoin Talk. Bitcoin Talk is the oldest forum out there with original people from the space that were always DMing around and, sponsoring people's signatures on the forum, doing all these really wild airdrops back in 2013, 2014, when everybody was forking Litecoin and creating all these different types of altcoins with goofy names and goofy projects. And there was a lot of fun activity taking place on Bitcoin Talk back then. And there still is a lot of posts that go on there. And a lot of the people on there are still very much actively, participating, which is very fun to see that still around. So 10 years ago, was playing around on Bitcoin Talk, really learned and dug in deeply. 9 years ago, I started making content in this space. 9 years, which is crazy to think about. I made a couple blog posts about the different cryptos that I was interested in, Dogecoin being one, and a very important part of that first post that I did, I believe it was in June of 2014, where I published it. It said, you don't have to understand cryptocurrency, just buy it. And that was one of the really breakout posts that I did, where a lot of people started reaching out to me after that, like, hey, you should make videos. You should really get into this space a little bit more. Ultimately, I've committed a lot of time to this space, and I have such a love for this new innovative concept that is blockchain and decentralization. So I really dug deep into these 10 tips that I wanted to walk you guys through. And the first one is, every new cycle brings people that want you to give them your private keys. Every single 4 years, there's a bull cycle that blows off, and a ton of young people come into this space. They hear that a bunch of others are making money, and people convince them with very provocative offerings to send them crypto, give them small yields, even if it's 10, 20, 30% promises. Ultimately, that implodes, and people lose their currency because they've sent it, they aren't custodying it themselves, and they send that over. And great examples here were obviously Quadriga, FTX, Celsius, Crypsy, Mt. Gox, some incredibly large mistakes that took place and frauds that took place. So this was a big lesson for me, was learning that no matter how compelling the offer is, in a year's time or 2 years' time, that offer is going to implode based on the historical records of this. Reiterate, don't focus on these short-term gains and pass those keys over to someone and send your crypto away. No matter what they say is going to be the yield. you are giving up the rights to that currency when you send it to a custodian service. And there are crazy platforms out there that provide a lot of great value, I'm sure. And some things that have happened over the last 10 years have made that value really compelling. But ultimately, if you do want to be in full control and emphasize the note of crypto being around sovereignty and one of the core values being around self-custody, just hold on to it. Use a ledger or a Trezor and just hold on to it yourself. Monitor the markets as much as you want. But ultimately, that is one of the core values of crypto since day one. And I think that is a huge lesson for people watching this. That's why that's number one in terms of the tip. There's always going to be someone to convince you to send that crypto. The next point here is for all the young people that have joined this space. Not everyone has to be a trader. You don't have to learn Fibonacci's and all these different lines and things to monitor the charts. You do not have to do that. Despite what you see in the echo chambers on Twitter, not everybody is sitting there trading and day trading all these different cryptocurrencies. That's just not how it works. They're usually the loudest and the most influential because people believe that they want to follow price signals and all these different formats and all these different things that they can potentially make some money off of. But ultimately, you do not have to be a trader. The people that get wrecked the most in this space for the last 10 years by far have been traders. They get wrecked all the time. Margin came out with BitMEX and all these other companies and completely demolished a huge group of traders. The people that succeed the most in this space are the founders and the hodlers, the people who just sit on their stack and they don't trade it. So once again, you do not have to be a trader. Don't get sucked into that on something like a Twitter where you see all these people doing trades and saying, hey, this is the next big thing. Check out this small cap. And I'm doing all of these technical analysis on it and check this out. And it's really worth it. I am not a trader, never have been and never plan to be. And I'm a hodler and a founder. And time again, this comes up in my DMs on comments where people say like, oh, check out the, for short-term price point and price prediction. People ask me for price predictions. And ultimately, you just have to look out over 10 years, 20 years, whatever your time horizon is. But the short-term price points are going to swing like crazy. Back in 2013, it was like doubling every week and going down, going up, and it was just nauseating. So if you want to have a peaceful life and be able to actually have some fun outside of trading assets, you're going to have to just dollar cost average, consecutively buy every once in a while, and just take it easy. You don't have to swing trade or anything like that. Just hodl and build cool things with awesome people in this space because there's brilliant creators and builders in this space. One of the most important and underrated ones here, content creators in this space are ground zero. On YouTube, TikTok, whatever platform it is, that is where Web 2 people are coming to learn about new technologies, whether it's blockchain or AI or whatever platform they're going to find all this educational content. They are going to these big social media platforms to find these videos. And what I wanted to say about this is the creators in the space don't get enough support. The inbox of everybody that I know in this space that's been making content for years is a minefield. You have everybody from hackers sending you phishing links to scammers that are very much putting up a facade that is a real project, and you have to do your diligence very deeply. And there's always going to be some good projects in there that are just drowned out, or they don't have the budget to work with some of the bigger creators. And there's just this crazy minefield in these inboxes of all of these channels that I know my inbox, everybody's inbox is just crazy. So in the Twitter thread that I'm going to link below, there's a lot of really great creators that have been around for a long time in this space that you guys should follow. They're genuine people here. They're trying to educate the masses and trying to help people. Despite what anyone says, having met them, I can vouch for a lot of them and their ability to actually fight through a lot of the just scams out there and make it a point to highlight good projects and support their community and help people learn. Point number 4 is around the narrative changes. There's been a ton of narrative changes over the last 10 years. Everything from in 2013, where it started moving towards the store of value, and then people started talking about buying a cup of coffee with Bitcoin and became a payment network. And there's just so many different narratives that have changed over the years. And I think that there's so many different things around the narrative changes, but ultimately new builders who come in every year, they have to swim with that current. They have to swim with the narrative changes. And that is just because if there's a wave of 10 million people coming in every 4 years, you can capture a lot of value as an entrepreneur and a founder if your narrative aligns with those 10 million bodies coming into a new space. But always look for the people that have had a consistent narrative for multiple cycles. It's rare to find somebody that builds a product that outlasts multiple cycles. There are some fantastic examples out there. Divi is a great example. They've been around for a long time. I've been a big believer in that project. And there's so many really powerful projects that have made it through multiple cycles and kept the narrative. And they've added new functionality as each cycle comes, because if people want something, you have to offer them something similar or just accommodate all of those new people. And there's some really incredible things that have happened to projects and founders and teams that have come through multiple cycles. So look out for those. Number 5 is gatekeepers. Now, 2017, 2018 with ICOs brought a ton of gatekeepers, your crypto experts on LinkedIn. And there was just this insane kind of poisonous activity taking place, this tribalism that took place in 2017 that I'm glad really got flushed out during the pullback in 2018, 2019. And this was a really gross kind of time, I think, for a lot of people that saw what was going on, where there was just tons of these people that just came in and were so aggressive and really just poisonous to the space, to the point where newcomers were just intimidated. They were like, okay, well, there's thousands of these gatekeepers that are anons on Twitter telling me I can't get into something or can't learn, or I'm stupid for asking questions. And there was just way too much of that. Fortunately, in 2020, 2021, NFTs just cracked that wide open because they were all about art and inclusivity and diversity and being welcoming. And it really squashed a lot of those really gross, poisonous gatekeeping anons on Twitter that I was really pleased to see. And I know a lot of OGs out there haven't really talked about this, but it was a really great time to see the NFT really community come together and be inclusive. Number 6, do your research. Learn how you can go out there and find good projects and never trust anything at face value. Even if you're watching this video, do your own research. Never trust a floating head talking about something, and just do your own research. Find links, Google around, check followings, go into communities, see engagement levels, check code repos on GitHub, and just check around. Learn what the best ways to do it are, and follow the developers. Follow what people are building and where they're going. But definitely learn how to do research and have a framework set up for yourself. Next up is some quick hygiene on storage. So always separate cold and hot wallets. Cold wallets being Ledger and Trezor, where you keep it as a savings account. Hot wallets are like your MetaMask that is like a checking account. So you don't touch your savings wallet on a regular basis, or your savings account on a regular basis, and you can use your checking account or your hot wallet. Now, on your MetaMask, what you're gonna wanna do is go to the settings, drop down, and unsync from services you are not using. Most people will clear it completely when they're done, but always go in there on a regular basis and clear that out. What that does is it disconnects your wallet from any services that you have signed cryptographically to use, and you are not synced with them anymore. In the event that they get breached, you are not susceptible to any issues there. So when you're going around on Web3 and you're using different browsers and things like that, you're going to be syncing with different services to engage, to transact. You can go in, pop in, and then quickly go to that settings after you're done doing whatever you did and unsync from that. That is a really good thing to do and get in the process of doing that on a regular basis for security on your hot wallets. Cold, always keep paper, not digital backups of your keys. Keep them separate from the actual hardware. Keep a safe nearby. Number 8, mental health is wealth. Now, this is a darker one, and I know a handful of amazing humans that have died by suicide over the last 10 years from trading losses. And that's not something that I say lightly. There have been many, many incidents that have happened, and this is not something people bring up very frequently, but ultimately, don't invest what you can't afford to lose is real. That statement is real. And if you've heard people say that in the past, they're like, oh, well, no, I'll just invest, a ton because I'm really interested in risk and making a bunch of upside. But this is real. And these are real losses, real gains. And people don't really think about that, especially young people that have never really experienced substantial losses. And there's a lot of unfortunate stories that have happened over the last 10 years in crypto. And I'm not going to share any of those here, but you can search around and see many of them out there. So mental health, take care of yourself, sell crypto at any time. There's no rush. Just literally, you can cash out whenever you need to. And if you're checking it every day, you have too much exposure. So feel comfortable with leveling out, just completely liquidating whatever you need to do, and just live your life. This is not an end all be all. Don't ever commit to one asset for your whole entire well-being and financial well-being, especially. Just diversify and sell when you need to. This is a very important one. And I always like to talk about this openly because there's a important part of having the ability to sleep nightly and well without worrying about an extremely volatile emerging market asset like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum. Frauds and scams are literally everywhere. I've been scammed dozens and dozens of times, and I would like to consider myself quite seasoned when it comes to storage and very much privacy and security, and I've been scammed a ridiculous amount of times. Anyone that says that they haven't is lying. Anyone that's been in this space over 5 years has been scammed. There is a no doubt in my mind that has happened in some way, shape, or form. And this is just a harsh reality of an emerging market. Do not expect anyone to protect you or to look out for you. Nobody cares, and you need to be able to take responsibility, own it, and just take care of yourself and your stack. Make sure that you are doing your diligence. Make sure that you are checking links. Don't click on anything that people are sending you. Just always Google it. If they send it to you and it's some project, just give it a Google and look what's going on. That's a good layer of security there. Fraud and scams are everywhere. And I'm even banned from Instagram. Haven't been able to use it for years because there were so many impersonators, probably 50 of them that started up that were just scamming people, pretending to be me. And it was just a nightmare. So just know that they are out there. There are people out there that are malicious, and be careful with anyone that's sending you DMs, asking you for money, pretending to be a very large name influencer or anything like that. Last but most certainly not least, the biggest narrative in this space has always been mass adoption. When has mass adoption happened? We need to do X, Y, and Z to reach mass adoption. If you look at 2013, when I got into this space, and 2023, the level of wallets is farther than I ever could have expected this getting this quickly. The mass adoption is here. The mass adoption has happened. By all measurements on my standards, the last 10 years has been incredible growth. And all you have to do is check the blockchain, check how many wallets have opened. And anybody that's saying like, oh, we have to still do this, this, and this, and this for mass adoption, you are basically not focusing on the facts. You're not focusing on the on-chain metrics. You're not focusing on the incredible adoption that's happened over the last 10 years. And I encourage everybody to just check out all of the amount of wallets that have happened over the last decade. It is just mind-blowing the amount of adoption that's happened. And that's exciting to me. And seeing what's going to happen over the next 10 years, 20 years, I've committed a lot of my life to this space now. And I think that there is really exciting things happening in the background that you don't necessarily see on the front end. So that is it for my overview of the 10 tips that I've learned over the last 10 years in the crypto space. Narrative changes, everything, all the way from starting in crypto being like a hacker asset all the way to now it's the next internet with Web3. And I think that there's so many exciting things coming with this space that I want to leave you guys with that. And I hope this helps somebody out there. If you're new to this space, these are some really good tips for how you can do it. Feel free to rewind or pause the video wherever you need to. And check out the link in the description to my Twitter thread if you need some extra help. And that is it. I will see you on the next episode here on Hack Crypto.